button to click. And good evening, good evening, good evening. We are a little early this evening by the looks of it, 7:57 by my calculation. I am Ian, this is my lovely wife,
Rachel,
of Big Family Life in the Simpson Family Home, and 4Fs with the Simpson family. 4Fs representing faith, family, food, and fitness. Faith, because we believe we can do all things through Him who loves us. Family, because aside from God, there's nothing else more important on this earth. Food, because food is medicine. And fitness, because we believe overall wellness can be achieved by pursuing a strong mind, soul, and body. Good evening, guys. I see you on the IG. Thanks for stopping in. God bless you both. Kiddies, I'm going to ask you that you go down a couple notches there for me, eh, Ryder? Ryder? Yeah. I'm going to ask you go down a couple notches for me, please, buddy. So, yeah, again, we are Ian and my wife, and we 4Fs, and tonight's topic is...
womanizing in relationships.
Yeah. A friend of ours had reached out to us last week when we were doing a couple other podcasts and asked us to touch on this topic. So hopefully she'll have some time to join us. So yeah, we're gonna go at it from. Let's go at it from. We got a couple of young guys out here in the gram. So let's have a look at it from the perspective of being a young guy. First of all, being a young guy that's not in a relationship, right? Being a young single guy, and just.
Dating?
Yeah. Dating.
But what does dating look like in this time?
Guys, help me out. What does dating look? I have no idea. I'm married and I'm 50 years old. And I became single at 45 for the first time in 25 years. And it was like what I thought was that, this is going to be great because I was in a relationship for this really, really long time, and now I'm going to be able to go out there and hit the clubs and do all the things that I really hadn't been able to do for the last however long, right? And, I thought that it was going to be great, but dating, I think, is a young person's game. It really is. Dating is a young person's game. It can be so awkward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It can be so awkward and really intimidating. You know what I'm saying? Facts. So it's like, but I think that if you're a young person and you don't have any, and you're dating, right? So from that perspective of, say, womanizing, is it really womanizing if you're dating multiple individuals? Right? And the whole idea of consenting adults.
Yeah, and I seen actually something on that the other day, and it was actually women. Another woman posting about two other women, and it was like the dating aspect for women. And it's you start dating this one guy, and it's not that you're intimate right away. However, you go on a couple dates, and they said you should be going on, not just settling for that one, but dating a couple guys at the same time. And to me, that just sounded. But I guess that just speaks to.
Well, we're old-fashioned, right?
Yeah. And it's like you just spend your time with that one person. However, it's like, is it being encouraged now that you are? Dating different.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That you're dating multiple women at a time or multiple men at a time. Like, what is the actual? I guess there's no actual hard rules, is there?
I don't know. I think that the game certainly has changed. It's a brave new world that we live in, and while I certainly appreciate the fact that the other day we were having a conversation. We were talking about the old roller skating days when in high school they would line up all the boys on this side and all the girls on this side. Then they'd play a slow song and the boys were supposed to go and ask a girl to dance. And I mean, it was like one of the most brutal and excruciating experiences of my life because I was just too shy to do it. You know what I mean? So I never, right? And however, it's a brave new world now because you can. It's just as likely in today's day and age that the girl is going to come across and ask the guy to dance, and I think that's great because that aspect of it. I think that that's great because I mean that would have just like, I mean if a girl would have come up to me and asked me to dance, that would have just made my life at that time.
So you're saying like that if there's more initiation on the part of the women,
It's a real thing now.
yeah.
Absolutely, and I don't think I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, what are we talking about here? The whole idea of female empowerment. It's wow. That's a yeah. I'm all for it as far as it pertains to it being good and godly, right? I mean, I'm all for it. I just my thing is this. I don't differentiate when you have behavior that's unseemly. It's to me, it's no longer more justified if a man is to behave a certain way than a woman, And for a very long time, that was the thing. That was the thing for me. Like, I mean, it was okay for a guy to have, date multiple girls, and kind of the idea of go out and sow his royal oats, if you would, and that was a real thing. Quite honestly, that was a real thing, and that's the way I viewed life at the time from a perspective, I guess, of male privilege, if you would.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
And then now you see the trends of women doing the exact same thing.
And all of a sudden it's a problem.
What do you mean?
No, well, societally speaking.
Oh,
right?
okay. No, and it's like you want the men to stop, but then you will go and do the same behavior. It just makes no sense. And for me, it comes down to having respect for yourself. And that's where that position that I hold true is that, respect myself, because you only get one life. And yeah, I get some people, have a bucket list or however. Why have a bucket list and, just hold yourself true to your own core values. I guess I'm a different type of person. Yeah.
And I mean, that's okay.
And
there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's just, it's interesting though.
Mm-hmm.
But why do women, or not women, why do men
cheat?
Yeah, womanize. Like why? Like I've never really, is it because they can? Or
that's a part of it.
They're not?
No, that's a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a part of it.
Because they can, what's the other word I had? Oh my gosh, I had it and then I lost it. So yeah, one, or possibly because they can.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, is it because they're unsatisfied in the relationship that they're currently in?
I think
we've had this conversation many times.
Yeah, but I mean, I think if I can't answer for men.
No, I know you can't answer for men.
I have an opinion. I have opinions.
Yeah.
And my opinion is just simply that I think that of the two, the one that's least viable or least important is that that you're not being fulfilled in your own personal relationship. It's like the idea that. And as an example, the idea that rape has anything to do with sex, it really doesn't. It has everything to do with control and power. It doesn't have anything to do with the act itself, right? So that kind of ties itself to, men cheat because, they're not being fulfilled at home. Mm-hmm. No, that's not always the case. You know what I mean? It's like, at least I don't think so. I don't think so. And I mean, it's an individualistic thing. It's because you can have a girl at home that is loyal, everything that you know what I mean. All those things that if you were to check your boxes, check your, you know what I mean. You could have all those things in your relationship and still find yourself wondering, still find yourself straying, still find yourself stepping out. What is that all about? And I think really what I'm trying to say is, I guess, is that takes the responsibility off of you and puts it on the other person. And I think that when you're talking about womanizing or cheating, it doesn't really have anything to do with the other person. It's more about your own build up, your own makeup, and
your own character, your own core values.
Yeah. It's an internal thing. And when you say that, it's because of this, then you're taking responsibility away from yourself and putting it on the other person. It's their fault. I mean, you would have cheated with anybody.
Okay.
It doesn't matter who that person was or is, right?
Yeah.
If you're a cheater, you're gonna cheat. And that's not to say that you can't change. But I mean, I think that, I mean, some might argue that cheating and womanizing are not the same. Because I mean, we're looking at it here from a perspective
So what
of,
is okay? So what's the definition of cheating, and then what's the definition of womanizing? Because I was like thinking they're the same.
well, I mean, I think that if you start from a position of not being a committed relationship, then you're not cheating, right? You know, you're dating and you're dating multiple partners and so on and so forth. That's not cheating per se. You're not in a committed relationship with any one person, and I mean, as long as it's understood, you know what I mean, consenting adults and all those things, and I'm not condoning or condemning anything. I'm just giving definitions, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that the difference there is just quite simply that cheating is when you're in a relationship, right? Whether it's you're in a relationship, and then some people might think that they're in relationships with multiple people. Like, I'm only in a relationship with these 3 guys, and then, well, you brought a 4th guy in or a 4th gal in. Well, that's cheating. Well, by your own definition,
Yeah.
right? But you know, whereas womanizing, you're I mean, dating multiple partners, or even what can we use to say that in the feminine and the masculine, and womanizing and what, manizing? I don't know.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know.
Because I don't like to think that it's only one.
It's not.
It goes both
It's not.
ways.
It's not.
Because it's like this time, day and age is that it's both genders.
Absolutely.
Both genders.
Careful
are,
now. Careful now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
We're not trying to offend nobody.
I know.
Yeah.
However, I just feel that there's. This is so hard. Like it's a really. It's like we have these, and this is what I love about our conversations. Like, we talk about everything, and it's different. It's a lot different when you come from a,
Hi, Cousin Di. God bless you. So good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. Cousin Di says, womanizer of a man engage in numerous casual sexual affairs with. Right. Yeah. Right. But and I think, just for definition and clarification, you're. Well, no. Okay, wait. No, I think you're correcting me. You're saying that womanizing, and are you saying womanizing and cheating are essentially the same thing? Because I mean, I think that cheater, to break a promise make to someone such as one's wife or husband by having sex with someone else he cheated on his
wife or girlfriend.
So are they're mutually exclusive then? Like, I mean, that's what I'm getting there. They're mutually, like, I mean, they're not. Again, was my definition then by your? Do you feel that the way I explained it was fair, accurate? Like, I mean, if you can womanize and not necessarily cheat, because you're not in a committed relationship, and you can, but if you're a cheater, you're a womanizer by default.
Yeah.
If you're a cheater, you're a womanizer by default. I think that's fair. However, you can be a womanizer and not necessarily a cheater. Is that fair?
I think so.
Is that fair? So, well, there's a log lag. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, she said, I can see that. Okay. That's fair. Ethan Paul, God bless you. Thanks for stopping in, man. We see you. We just over here talking about, from a young person's perspective, because I mean, me being an old head, I'm gonna touch 50 this year and this summer, and I mean, she's much younger. God bless her. So, like dating and the whole idea. Would you agree with the statement, Ethan? You can be a cheater. No, you can be a womanizer and not necessarily a cheater. However, if you're a cheater, you're a womanizer by default. And so the idea is, like, we live in a brave new world, because I mean, it's not mutually exclusive to just being a male that you would consider being, oh, this guy is just getting his numbers up. I mean, you look at their women are so empowered nowadays, and I mean, it's actually a thing. Female empowerment that you say, and I mean, it's not condemnation of anyone or anything. Do what makes you happy. My whole thing is just quite simply, as long as we're in a situation of consenting adults and no one gets hurt, my personal opinion of it is that when you get away from monogamy and try to be in polygamy, I just in my and I'm not speaking to. I just personally, in my lived life experience and put through my filters, I just don't see how at some point it just doesn't get overly complicated.
Because
Feelings get
I know, because
bruised.
it was like we're married now, almost 2 years, and in a relationship for 4.
Yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden, if he came home and says, "Oh, I'm gonna have another wife," I'd be like, "Heck no!"
I mean,
because that conversation didn't happen, prior. So it's like it's just conversing with your partner and saying like, "This is the kind of I don't like expectations on a relationship, but also it's just more
Open-ended communication.
yeah, open-ended, and just clearly stating what you want from the relationship."
Expectations.
No, I don't like saying
Sorry, you
expectation.
just said that. Derp.
Saying what you want from the
Sorry.
relationship
Yeah.
instead of not these surprises or all of a sudden you have an extra wife or.
I mean,
But
I just
It works.
actually
It
just
can work for other people.
and it does.
It does,
It does
yeah.
work for other people. And just for clarification's sake, in actuality, I mean, even for me, even if I were in some eventuality decided that I would go into this thing and with eyes wide open, right? Like when I look at that to its fulfillment, I just don't see any way that feelings just don't get hurt. I mean, that, and yeah, I just don't see any eventuality where that would end well, you know? And I mean, that,
Yeah.
I'm old fashioned, that would never work for no, sir.
Right? I'm the same way, and
Okay,
I says
we
I
are
don't,
old-fashioned.
I don't share. That
Yeah.
That's pretty much. I don't play well with others.
Doesn't
so.
play well with others, and and then the whole thing though is that and again, no condemnation, because I know my own personal journey. I know where I've been. I know where I've come from. I think that I was probably too debilitatingly shy to be considered a womanizer. You know what I mean? Like, it was really, when I was a young person, it was very difficult for me to muster up enough courage to go talk to a new person. Like, if we were connected in some way, like we had the same circle of friends or something, or we were moving in the same, group of people, same circles, or I was with my homeboys or something. However, if I was like flying solo or not drunk or intoxicated, it was very, very difficult, and so it was very hard to meet people, and as such, it was like, that's why dating as a man was just horrible. At 45 years old, trying to go, it was horrible. My goodness, it's uncomfortable and awkward, and you gotta find stuff and to talk about continually, and
The struggle was real.
And it's not even like I went on like lots of dates. I didn't. I know I went on lunch a couple times. I think I went on coffee. Coffee, that's something that became a thing, didn't
Yeah.
it? Coffee became a thing because our first date was coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and our second date too.
Mm-hmm. Cinnamon buns.
Yeah, that became a thing, and that was never. Being a young black man watching TV growing up, I would look and people say they're going out for coffee, and I would like, what's this thing about coffee? What's this all about? Coffee was never really a thing for me, but as I've gotten older, I see coffee works. Coffee works.
It still works.
Absolutely.
Still, I can't get him to drive by Tim Hortons. It has to be on the right side of the road, though.
And that's the only thing. It has to be on there, because I won't turn around to hit a Tim's. I won't.
So I make sure we plan a route where I know there's a
No,
coffee.
she has to plan her out. I'm not a coffee drinker. I'll drink her coffee from time to time. I'll drink her coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So what about now womanizing from the feminine, like manizing?
Manizing, we're
And
gonna call it that.
you're not even. I can't even really have that conversation with you because, yeah.
Manizing.
Yeah, that was like never your thing. I mean, I think we picked
we,
this.
we need another.
We picked this topic because a friend of ours asked us to touch on it, and then we were just like, I know people that, like, I know guys that are really, you know what I mean, would have been perfect to have in here to talk with me on this, and I mean, like, you want to talk about numbers. If it's strictly a numbers game, no disrespect, these men were, they got their numbers up. But we can speak to the idea, the idea that, I mean, I remember when we met, and it was like, I remember this was actually a thought for me. It was like, oh, now we gotta have sex and complicate things. It's actually a thought. It was like, now things gotta be complicated because we gotta have sex. I mean, obviously we didn't have to have sex. I mean, it just seemed like the natural progression of the relationship. Right? But I mean, yeah, sex. Is that even a word? With manizing? No, we made that up. we made that up. I don't know. I have other words. However, I don't want to use them.
Yeah, because it's like the women that that actually do the same thing go have their numbers up, and it's like been a trend recently where women who are like say divorcing at 40 years old, children are somewhat whatever independent. Is that they're actually going out there and getting their numbers up.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's a trend,
Yeah,
and I've seen that happening quite a bit. And it's like, is that a female empowerment or is that just making up for lost time?
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know what? God bless them. I mean,
it's just trying to find understanding, or it's not even like judgment. It's just what's going on in today's day and age of dating. Like it's, especially with internet and
that's exactly where I was
smartphones
going.
Because like when I was late 90s, early 2000s, there was no such thing as a cell phone or using a phone collect and like call me in 5 minutes or
it's true. It's true.
Messaging.
And with online dating. Oh, you know what I found out on the one dating app was even really, really notorious for this. Ashley Madison said that they got nailed for this big time. That's Mercedes there, Diane. She's the newest member for her family. All she do is sleep. What they would do is they would keep profiles of women active, and so they would all basically you have all these men just recycling through these the same 5 women's profiles. And but however, I think that who were we talking to about this just the other day? For whatever reason, I thought that with COVID, because people are still meeting people, and I thought that it's COVID, it's this, it's that, it's the other. Where are you meeting people? How are people still meeting and getting together and hooking up? And however, online, everything is just straight online now. I certainly wouldn't know. And so when was just about to ask about the that's super cute. Thank you. That's Mercedes. We picked her up 2 days ago.
2 days ago, yeah.
2 days ago. Bentley is Jasmine's. Jasmine is Bentley's primary caregiver, and Bentley was brought into the family to be a support companion for Jasmine to help her help her deal with her struggles and her personal deal with the world more on her level, right? And so Bentley is being trained right now, and we're getting in the process of getting his papers. And Mom saw just how well Jasmine was reacting to that form of therapy, if you would, and decided that she would benefit greatly from that as well. And so we went out and we brought Mercedes in, and so they've just spent the last couple of days bonding, and actually Mom has taught her to sit in 2 days. She's 10 weeks old. That's pretty impressive. 8 weeks, excuse me. Pretty intelligent. Yeah, Mom's already taught her to sit. And she's only had 1 accident. I'm pretty impressed all the way around, because I mean we're on a schedule with her. Bentley was oh boy. I mean Bentley was a disaster, like an accident every night. but we weren't very good at it. We were new at what we, you know what I mean. Now it's like Phoenix is up at like 2 and 4. Noah's involved. Jasmine is involved. I'm involved. Everybody's involved except for her. She sleep like a rock. she sleep through the whole dang thing. And me, I'm a light sleeper to begin with, and now it's just like having a baby. It's like having a baby. So I mean, she thought that she was gonna sleep on her side of the bed, on the floor on her side of the bed. And so the first night we went to bed, and she just kind of come around on my side and crawled up, and I was like, uh-oh. I knew she wasn't gonna be happy. I'm like, babe, right? So we put the bed on my side, and now she's sleeping the first. And so the whole night I just spent like peeking over the edge of the bed, looking at the dang dog, and I'm like, well, that's wasteful. So I got here. And last night I got a little bit more sleep because the dog was actually in bed with us now. Because I mean, I got less sleep because I was constantly, continually looking over the edge of the bed. You okay down there? Yeah, it was the last night. It's like, wow, whatever. Just come in, just whatever, just come in. Yeah, I'm Jamaican. Yeah, I'm still Jamaican. I'm still keeping my Jamaican card. Yeah, I got the dog in bed with me. I don't care. Yeah, I let the dog lick my face. What? I don't care. I did that. Yeah, I let the dog lick my face. I love her. She's awesome. She's just fun, and she likes to bite my cheek, and she likes to bite on my little whiskers here, and she chew on them. Yeah, she great. She just great. Yeah. Apparently, I have anxiety, so I mean. But yeah, relationships, right? So I mean, and manizing. I mean, when you have, and actually, it's funny that you should mention that you saw that it's a thing now that women in their 50s and getting divorced and going out and making up for lost time, if you would. It actually started quite some time ago when I became newly single. And I was online, I saw, especially in Toronto, bigger cities, like there's groups, however, Toronto is like Sodom and Gomorrah, man, like I'm telling you, it's crazy, yeah, there's some stuff going on out there that you can only imagine, right? It's so interesting when you speak of Toronto, right? I remember there was a picture of Nick Nolte, the actor, Beverly Hills Cop, right? Yeah. And so there was a picture of him in the Winnipeg Sun quite a few years ago, and it was a mugshot because he had been arrested at a club in Toronto called the Bovine Sex Club, and I thought, what a great name for a club. No idea what went on there, but I mean, that's just a great name for a club, Bovine Sex Club. So we happened to be in Toronto one weekend, because when I worked on the choo-choos years ago, me and my work, because I worked on the trains years ago, and so Toronto was on the run. And we happened to be in Toronto, and buddies coming, hey, we're going to the Bovine Sex Club. And right away, my mind went to that mugshot of Nick Nolte, and I'm like, yeah, instantly, yeah, we gotta go. And so we went in the front door, and I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you, it wasn't anything special, and we probably didn't get to see the VIP. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure we didn't get the Nick Nolte tour. I'm pretty sure we didn't get the Nick Nolte tour, but I mean, that's just I did it simply because so that I could say that I was at the same club as where Nick Nolte got arrested when he was in Toronto, the Bovine Sex Club.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great story. Okay, well maybe it's not a great story, but I'm 50 years old, man. I've led a not so great, boring life. I don't know. No, my life hasn't been boring. However, I remember one night I hooked up with Leroy in Toronto, and we were walking by. Leroy is my younger brother in Toronto, and he's a Toronto. He come up in Toronto from time. He's lived in Toronto, so it's a different mentality when you grow up there, or even if you live there. It's just different. And I remember we were coming from a club one night and walking by, and we saw what looked like it was a breakdown from a shoot, some kind of photo shoot, and they were taking equipment in, and he was just like, hey, grab the box there. I'm going inside, we'll go party tonight. So we just had to look like sound technicians. Oh, yeah, Toronto's a trip. Okay, relationships. So, yeah, so that was from back then. That became a thing, female empowerment, if you would. And I mean, you know, God bless them. Do you what makes you happy. My only thing is, as long as no one is getting hurt, and you know, consenting adults. Here's something really interesting today on a brief, because we're saying consenting adults on that topic specifically. I saw something today. It says that you know, if you are a transgender person and you are intimate with somebody, and if I'm intimate, if my wife is transgender, she's not, and we are intimate, and then she tells me after the fact, right? Good evening, Debbie. God bless you. Thanks for stopping in. And then she tells me after the fact. Now, this one person's position was that if I'm offended, that makes me a transphobe, right? And I just don't accept that. I don't, and first, this is not condemnation or judgment of anyone or their lifestyle in any way, shape, or form. I just find that this is an interesting topic to talk about, because
I think it's just one of those where you're navigating the changes within the world, and because everybody wants to be so politically correct, and because language has changed as well.
Absolutely has.
And so it's like a lot of society hasn't even caught up. However, these are good questions, because eventually there's going to be more. And
we're not going back.
No, we're not going back.
This is just, like it or not, this is what it is. And so, you know, better to have the conversation, so to help hopefully lead to a better understanding, right?
Yeah, so go ahead. And you were saying, what was his position on that?
Well, the original person that did the video, their position was that, you know, that would make me a transphobe. Right? And I just don't accept that, because I started the position that, you know, and then the person that was doing it was a stitch, and the person that their position, and I agree with the second position, was that quite simply that, because in that situation you've now taken my choice away. You know what I mean? You've taken my choice away to say that, you know, either I'm okay with that or I'm not. Whether I'm okay with that or not is actually irrelevant. I should have the right to choose. You know what I mean? And I think this honesty, whether or not, I mean, I started a position of honesty, you know what I mean? Full disclosure. Hey, Harneil, thanks for stopping in, buddy. God bless you. Full disclosure. You know, and I think that's a situation that's, you know, that's significant. I mean, I would want to know that. And I think that if I found out after the fact, I would be upset. Right? I would be upset. And I would feel that I'm entitled to my indignation. I would feel that I would have a right, I would be justified in being upset because you deceived me. You know, there's deception there. You know? Anyone? What do you, help me out here. Help me out. What do you got?
I haven't seen very much on that subject, because it is going to be happening more and more. And it all does come down to honesty.
Yeah, I start there.
If you want to start a life with somebody, you have to be honest as to who you are.
But we're talking about womanizing, so we're not even marriage. We're talking about a hookup. Let's keep it in the context.
And when I think about it in that context, like if it is a hookup, whatever, if you're still even having oh, sorry, just 1 second.
1 second here. This is what it is in the Simpson family home at about this time every evening. The kids will come, the littles will come to check in and say their good night. And Justice, as always, because his schedule is so important to him, he will either be early or right on time. He will never be late. And especially with everything. It's like and even bedtime. It's so very, very important. You go ahead and continue your point, sweetheart.
Actually, I just want to wait 1 second.
Okay.
Because there's. My Bijan.
Yeah, Bijan.
Love you.
Mercedes.
Quick. Thank you. Was your popcorn good? Your popcorn?
Okay, Lane.
Popcorn?
Popcorn.
Popcorn. Mercedes is coming.
Yeah, Mercedes is coming. Good night. All right.
I love you.
Oh, say good night to Auntie.
Yeah, Auntie said good night. All. Good night.
Good night, good night, good night. Say good night to Auntie.
I'm coming to see.
Oh, good night. Love you. She just has such
Wait.
sad eyes.
Yeah. If you're up, can you come up?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So I was just saying that, like, even when you even if it is a hookup, it's like isn't it known that even if you have
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you so much.
that
Bless
you have to disclose, like, if you have what are they called, like a STD that's
Great point.
STD that's
Communicable?
yeah, so
I
not
think
one
they're
that
all
can be
communicable. Sorry. They're all
no, the one
pretty
that
much
you know that you can't actually you live with.
Oh,
Yeah.
like herpes.
Yeah, or there's AIDS, or I don't even know the correct. However, is
Chronic?
it no, correct. I said AIDS, or is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
HIV? I don't.
Yeah.
So it's like you should disclose that you have it.
Yeah.
Especially when even if it's just a hookup. It's just being respectful of the other person, and you're allowing them to have a choice as if they're
Yeah.
going to engage in that relationship.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You want her?
Yeah, she wants her.
Where's the baby?
Here. It's bedtime. Yeah, she's a pretty big deal in the house. Now, it's so interesting that she's just really galvanized the family, the entire family as a unit. Everybody's just kind of come so much closer together around Mercedes. Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, we're a pretty close knit group. We're a pretty tight group, and we don't really mess with anybody because we don't have to. There's just so many of us, and if it was at all possible, she's brought us closer together. Yeah. And Bentley just, oh boy, he just loses his mind around. Like, he just wants to play. But the thing is, he's exactly like Noah. He's just so big. He's just so big, and she's just an average sized pup. And good night, baby. Love you. And so when he goes and he likes to pounce and jump, and and he wants to swat her hind legs as she's running away, but that paw is like he's gonna break her back. And he's not. He doesn't have a mean bone or streak in his body. He's just so big and strong, and she's just so tiny. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Ooh. Okay, I'm back.
Side note, like, how did you come up with the name?
I thought it went really well with Bentley. Expensive cars. Yeah, Bentley and Mercedes. I just thought it was clever. I thought I was being clever. That's all. That's all.
And he goes, I have a name. It's Mercedes. And then, can I name her? I was like, okay.
Yeah, I know. I just thought I was being clever. I just thought it was clever. That's all. There's no special meaning there at all. I just thought it was clever. And yeah. Oh, so where were we?
No, I was talking about just making this disclosure if you have a communicable.
Communicable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just that you're giving that person the choice to engage in a relationship, or
Or you're taking the choice.
Yeah. Instead of finding out afterwards.
So I mean, and I guess that's what it boils down to, is just like open honesty. When you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said. I mean, that's probably the most encouraging and powerful argument for open honesty. Well, you don't ever have to remember who you told what, because the story is always the same. And I mean, they're the narcissistic liar, the really committed liar. The story's always the same, anyways, right? Because that's not what this statement is. That's a whole other topic, the narcissistic partner. But I mean, womanizing.
I think for me, like when I still hear that it's going on, I think it just speaks to the male or female's character and their more their integrity as to who they are. It's like Yeah, I say that's what it is. As long as you're being open and honest to that person that you're either seeing or married to, and you know, set down whatever, not expectations.
It's not for me. That I mean.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, and that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
just as long as you're open and honest about
Yeah.
it, then do you.
Yeah.
However, just don't hurt other people as you're doing it.
And that's where that's where I go to. I just don't see how it ends well. I just don't see how feelings don't get hurt. I mean, somewhere along the lines. And I mean, I just, yeah. Go ahead, baby. Finish your thoughts.
No, that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And it's just it's interesting because and I was saying earlier is that we have these conversations all the time. It's like we have like these deep conversations. It's all in, and it's nice. It's really nice that when you've come from an unhealthy relationship previously to actually having open discussions about everything and not having hurt feelings
Yeah.
or just being true and honest with each other, it makes it a lot easier.
Or that you can even just have a conversation.
Yeah.
That you can just have. I mean, that's a big deal. And I mean, you know, and I mean, in my own lived life experience, again, I was in 2015. I was incarcerated, and I was incarcerated for the longest time that I've been incarcerated as an adult or ever really. You know, a series of poor choices and accountability being what it was. I had to own that, and so or what it is, I had to own that. And it is when you're locked up, and it's tough to have intelligent conversations. It really is. I mean, it really is. Oftentimes, the only conversations that were worth having were with, you know, the individuals that were the COs, the correction officers, the ones that actually got to lead the facility and come back. It's so interesting to me because you know, you're with a group of guys, and all they want to talk about is the behavior that got them here in the first place, and that didn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. Or the idea that oh my God, I haven't had a cigarette for like 2 years. I can't wait till I get out of here so I can have a smoke. Like, but you haven't smoked for like 2 years. Why don't you just quit? You know? Well, but I mean, your own personal journey. You're not in that headspace to say that, oh, I'm actually trying to quit or want to quit smoking. You're just in that headspace that, you know, something is being taken away from you, and you don't care for that. So as soon as you're able, you're going to take that power back. Yeah. So conversations, especially ones that are meaningful, end up becoming very, very important. Words matter. Words matter. And I have a great respect for them, and so I tend not to try to waste them. What are your thoughts on cheater womanizing changing their spots? Oh, great question. Great question. Can a leopard change its spots? Can a womanizer settle down and become a committed participant in a monogamous relationship? I absolutely believe so. I you know what? Yes.
I think it speaks to that person's growth.
Again, that's an individualistic thing. Go.
No, and that's it. I think that they can. It's just that they have to do that work and realize what they're doing, or and if they're open and honest with their partner, and I think it could happen. I think that yeah, it's just all about the growth on that individual. That's all I'm gonna.
I think that what I would caution, however, though, is that I would speak to the person, whether male or female, who's in a relationship with someone who's a cheater, womanizer, and you're just waiting on them to change, and you only keep hearing that, oh, I'll change, right? I think that lasting and effective change comes from within. It has to come from within. If I'm to change because of my wife, and I love her dearly, if I'm to change to suit or please her, that
Because I said you have to change.
that won't. And even if I accept it, even if I want to, I don't believe myself, personally, that will stick. Right? All the change, all the work that I did in my own personal journey, I had started that work prior to meeting my wife. And so I had done that work. I started that work because I wanted to be a better me. Right? I wanted to be a better me. Initially for my children, I wanted to reconnect with my relationship with God, and so on and so forth. And as a result, that stuck. I made the decision to change. I made the decision to change for me because I looked at myself and I said that I'm not happy with what I see. Simple. Very, very simple. 45 years old, incarcerated, a full-grown child, missing my youngest child's surgery, all kinds of nonsense. No, that was no longer acceptable. And so the change came from within me. And so she's the beneficiary of that change. So can a leopard change its spots? Absolutely, 100%. I believe that unequivocally, because I say that I changed. But listen, let me retract that. Let me retract that, because I mean, did I change, or did I just become the best version of myself, or a better version of myself? Right? Because I didn't change at my core, because my core values were strong and solid to begin with. I was just acting out in a way that I was completely confused. It's tough to know what a young black man is supposed to be in this country. It's tough to know sometimes, right? Because I came from a very backward situation, and it's just, I spent a lot of my life trying to live up to other people's expectations, and sometimes I didn't even know what they expected or wanted me to be. And it wasn't until I stopped living for others and started living for God that everything just kind of fell in line. Yeah. Life just became a whole lot less complicated.
And then, even with women, if they're in a relationship, or men in a relationship with the other partner that is, saying they're going to change, or, continuously, oh, I'm sorry, it just happened, it was an accident. Just know your self-worth and keep it moving, I guess. I think that would be
That's a tough thing to say, however,
but
you have to.
Because, sometimes, sorry is never enough. And that's why when you use your words, make sure that you're putting the meaning behind it, not just the empty words.
I mean, people will always show you how they feel about you, right? If you pay attention, people will always show you how they feel about you, and I think it becomes very important that you believe them.
I took 17 years to finally figure it out.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but it's
I took 25.
we both learned the hard way, so.
Yeah. However, that just brought us together, and I mean, it just made me ever much more appreciative for what I have now. You don't know good until you've had bad. I think that's fair, right? I think that's fair. You don't know goodness. You don't know the goodness of God until you've been running with the devil. Huh? So, yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair, and I mean, I wouldn't change my life experience. I mean, I wear my scars proudly. I do. I wear them proudly now as a badge. I do. I've earned every last one of them. I've earned every last stripe. I've earned every last scar. I've earned every last hurt. I've earned and it's so interesting because all the hurt, all the pain, all the disappointment, and all the frustration and the ill treatment. None of it even matters anymore. I mean, I don't have the energy. And most of the times, I really don't even have the energy to get upset about it anymore. I don't. I got some news today in regard to how the world was trying to treat one of our children, and it was like, he's going to be okay? We have restitution. We can go after them? I don't have the energy. He's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. I don't have the energy for it anymore because I'm just firmly committed to the idea that God has turned on a light inside my heart and inside my head, and He's told me that, Ian, you can go out there and you can manifest your best life. He's told me that. And I don't mean to preach. Maybe I do. I don't apologize. I'll always preach for my God. I can only speak to my lived life experience. And I was a year ago, almost to the day, I could barely walk. I could barely walk. I'd had one hip cut out, and I'm ready to have the other one cut out. I was in a lot of pain. I could barely walk. And then this happened. COVID happened. And I saw something on social media. People were just like, oh man, there was just this, the world was so heavy. There was just so much despair. There was so, oh, we're on lockdown. I'm going to gain 40 pounds. Oh, this and that. There was just so much despair in the world. And that lit a fire under me. Let me tell you, that lit a fire under me. And I said, no. I said, no, not us. And I said, God, I'm on lean. And if we can make this body of mine right, I'm looking to you to make this right. I'm looking to you to make this right. I don't take no medication, and that's not a condemnation of nothing. If that's what you're doing and it's working for you, God bless you. I don't even take Tylenol no more. I eat. I cook food. I exercise. The family, we exercise. We praise our God. We try to be good, godly, decent people. I'm no longer trying to save the world. I'm just trying to save my family. And that's going to flow out into the world by making them good, godly, decent people. They're going to make their children good, godly, decent people, and on, and we're going to pay it forward. But I've been leaning so heavy on my God. We just leaning hard. And the more you lean, the more he show up. And I got to tell you that y'all wouldn't even believe me if I tell you that a year later, I'm running pain-free. Y'all wouldn't believe me if I tell you that. I couldn't even run a year ago. There was so much I had given up. I'd given up basketball. I'd given up the idea of this. I'd given up the idea of that. I had one hip cut open. I was looking for canes, nice, a nice cane, I even bought one. I said we could have a nice head put on this, this and that, I'd given up. But once again, God wasn't done with me yet. Y'all probably wouldn't believe me, but it's my truth. It's my testimony. I'll never speak on nothing I haven't lived. And we have the ability, come what may, no matter what the obstacle, we have the ability to simply manifest our best life. All we have to do is to just speak life into it. That's it. If you believe you can, and if you believe you can't, either way you're right. Either way you're right. That's just my lived life experience. When I come to my God, the more you step out in faith, the more he shows up. And I'm even okay that, the idea of God in the masculine. I don't know. I'd like to. So I keep working because I know where I'm trying to go. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how no matter where you start your journey, you always end up back at God. Because we started womanizing, which is not a very godly thing to do. However, or I don't know. However, in my understanding of God's will, it's not a very godly thing to do.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Here we go. There,
So
mic
let's
drop.
end there. Let's just end
My
there.
wife just shut us down. My wife just shut us down. That was beautiful, babe. So yeah, I think that's as good a place to end as anywhere else. Thanks for coming along for the ride. God bless you. We appreciate you. And let me close by saying this. God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. Give